China School District Board of Education meeting to order at 7 p.m. If you could stand for a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to amend the agenda. So Suzanne, could you let us know?
Yes, please. If we could please add letter D under reports, peer-to-peer program from St. Clair High School. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, the next item on the agenda is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members?
Did you have something?
I do, but you can go first.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out to Mark Eberhardt and the group of students at St. Clair High School who did a fantastic job for Beauty and the Beast. For those of you that saw it, you know how wonderful it was. So a big thank you to everyone that was involved in that. May 4th and 5th, Marine City High School will be doing Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella, so hopefully everybody will come out and support that. Finally, the swim team at Marine City High School broke several records over the weekend. Several of those students are going on to the States, and there are boys and girls basketball districts this week, so I think they're in Marysville, so good luck to all of them, and thanks for everything that everybody does.
I just wanted to recognize two of the outstanding students we have at St. Clair High School. Troy Disselrath, who one of our trustees may know a little bit, is the MHS AA Class B Scholar Athlete of the Year. And Emily Tenniswood is a National Merit Scholarship finalist, which means she is one of the top 1% of SAT takers nationwide, which is pretty amazing.
Awesome.
So I know we often recognize sports and extracurriculars, but we are a school district, so I wanted to point out a couple academic things.
A couple school
Very
things.
good, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to recognize the East China School District Endowment Fund Committee for putting on a spectacular Chili Heart 5K this year in the middle of the worst snow and ice storm that we've had so far this season. That group does a great job engaging the business community and really telling the story of what the school district is accomplishing, which is great. It's a fun event. It was well attended and well run, and I do believe Mr. Demagowski was the overall winner, so congratulations to him as well.
Great, thank you.
I will just take a quick minute to congratulate the mock trial participants from both schools. Marine City High School and St. Clair High School both had two teams participate last Saturday, and it's an awesome event. St. Clair County Bar Association does a great job of hosting, and it's a really great event. And both schools had individual award winners, and the St. Clair Red team came in third overall. So great job.
I think your son was an individual winner too, wasn't he?
He,
Troy
he was,
Distelrath?
he was one of them. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Anybody else? Suzanne?
Yep, I just have a couple items this evening. You'll be hearing more about this later, but the East China Educational Foundation, who will be awarding their awesome grants next on our agenda, has a cool new fundraiser. In cooperation with Neiman's Family Market, they are hosting a food and beverage gala night on March 13th, and you can see the flyer is on the overhead. It's from 7 till 9 p.m. They're going to showcase their newly remodeled store. Tickets are $25 each, and the proceeds benefit the East China Educational Foundation, which means that it benefits our students and our teachers. Also, if you're at this event and you purchase groceries, Neiman's will donate 10% of the money to the foundation. So that will be going on March 13th. Secondly, I wanted to point out that our strategic planning committees continue to meet, have wonderful conversations, and about the data that we're looking at and about their thoughts and hopes for our district as we move forward. But I wanted to take a moment to point out that now on our website, under About Us tab, if you click on Strategic Planning, you'll see that we now have a location for all of the committees, their notes from their meetings, and their next meeting dates. So everyone is welcome to attend any meeting at any time. We appreciate all of our community's input and hoping to see as many faces as we can at these meetings. The third thing I want to talk about tonight is it's springtime, which means that Kindergarten Roundup is right around the corner. And for East China, our Kindergarten Roundup is next week, Wednesday and Thursday, March 7th and 8th. It is such a fun and exciting time to see those new faces come through, and we're looking forward to seeing each and every one of them. Again, that's March 7th and 8th of next week. And finally, in the wake of the school tragedy in Florida, these past couple of weeks have been very difficult for schools, both locally and nationally. The subject of school safety is a difficult one because it is so scary. As parents and educators, we want to do our very best for our children. Last week, I sent out a letter to the community explaining East China's safety protocols. There are copies of that letter on the table in the back of the room here, and it is also on our website. If anyone does have questions, please feel free to contact my office anytime. I'm happy to have the conversations. I do want to take this opportunity, though, to thank every member of our staff for being there for our students, for being patient with them, and creating a warm and welcoming environment. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is special recognition, the East China School District Endowment Funds Grant, Mr. Mike Domogowski and Mrs. Colleen Stover.
I'm going to wait for Mrs. Stover. Thank you very much, Superintendent Staibula and members of the board. I stand here with the privilege to represent the East China Educational Foundation along with Mrs. Stover to acknowledge several great grant applications which were approved just this past week. A little bit about the foundation before we start. It is an endowment fund through the Community Foundation of St. Clair County. With the spring 2018 awards, over $149,600 has been given out in grants. That's pretty cool, $150,000 so far. So the foundation will continue to increase that and doing a nice job raising money and handing out those grants. The 2018 Spring Grant Award recipients, 10 grants will be awarded, ranging from $258 to $1,000. They'll be awarded tonight for a grand total of $5,634.71. So without further ado, the first grant from St. Clair High School, Kathy Wojnowski from St. Clair High School. Kathy will be taking her students on a business-related field trip. Kathy would like her 10th grade students to start thinking about their future and start thinking beyond high school. So a grant was awarded to Kathy. Congratulations. Is Kathy here?
No, she's not here this evening.
Mr. Miller, would you like to accept that on her behalf? Thank you. Next, we have Steve Fox from Marine City High School. Steve will be purchasing a Selmer bass clarinet, giving his band students access to high-quality equipment for a high-quality performance. So congratulations, Mr. Fox. And Mrs. Becker will accept on his behalf. Next, we have Lisa Kane from Eddy Elementary. Lisa will be purchasing items to fund a LINK program at Eddy, Gearing, St. Clair Middle School, and I know especially St. Clair High School next year. The LINK program is a peer-to-peer support-based program. Current research shows benefits such as improved student attendance, academic achievement, and social skills. Congratulations, Lisa. Next, we have Linda Rouse from Palms Elementary School. Linda will be purchasing 6 sky panels for her classroom. The sky panels create a more calming classroom environment. So congratulations, Mrs. Rouse. Next, we have Marnie Williams from Marine City High School. Marnie will be purchasing a Bailey Minimite 2 clay slab roller for her art classes at Marine City Middle School and Marine City High School. Congratulations. Next up, we have Kathy Grebe and Kelly Robbins from Bell River Elementary School. Kelly and Kathy are purchasing consumable materials needed for their STEAM project. Congratulations. Next up, we have Sarah Ranger, Megan Hargrave, Elizabeth Mueller, and Annette Kirta of Gearing Elementary School. They will be purchasing a combination of early developmental toys and materials to promote all areas of development. These will include cause and effect toys, imaginary play sets, learning materials, and fine arts materials. Congratulations to you all. Next up, from Marine City High School, we have Jen Nelson. Jen will be purchasing a 3D printer to be used by students in her computer-integrated manufacturing classroom. Congratulations, Mrs. Nelson. Next up, we have Terry Mullane from St. Clair High School. Terry will be purchasing Vernier photo gates and LabQuest for 2 lab stations in her classroom. Congratulations. Next up, we have Shirley Matusko-Frederick from Marine City Middle School. Shirley will be purchasing the Nystrom World Atlas Pack for her geography classroom at Marine City Middle School. Congratulations. So on behalf of the foundation, we'd like to congratulate all the 2018 Spring Grant recipients. If anyone would like to donate to the foundation, the information is up on the screen. You can send your checks to the East China School District Superintendent's office. But congratulations to all the 2018 Spring Grant recipients. Before I hand over the stage, the foundation has been mentioned several times already today, so we appreciate that. But once again, on March 13th, we are having a gala at Neiman's Family Market. Neiman's came to us. Neiman's, as we know, is very, very great with volunteer opportunities for the school district, especially, and for our community. But on March 13th, if anyone would like tickets to this is $25 each for a ticket. They're going to close their doors at Neiman's Family Market to only people that have tickets from 7 to 9 p.m. on March 13th, and we'll have food stations, beverage stations, a good time to explore Neiman's multi-million-dollar renovation. So let's get people into Neiman's and support them like they support our school district. All of the proceeds are going straight back to the foundation, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you to Neiman's, thank you to Neiman's, thank you to Neiman's. They came to us with this. Any tickets, please call 676-1018 or any East China Foundation board member. They are available within the schools, but I am speaking right now on behalf of the East China Educational Foundation based on the flyer and the things that we're sending out. So we just wanted to mention that again. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Academic Spotlight, Gearing Elementary School, Mrs. Linda Crandall, educating our youngest, a spotlight on the early childhood program.
Good evening, Superintendent Sabula, Vice President Mrs. Frank, members of the board. I'm Linda Crandall, principal of Gearing Elementary, and tonight it's our privilege to be able to spotlight for you our early childhood program, educating the very youngest of our learners. And so tonight I'm happy to have with us our awesome early childhood staff who will share the program with you and get you to familiarize yourself a little bit more with what happens each and every day in the program at Gearing. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce one of our teachers, Rachel Radigan.
Thank you, Mrs. Crandall. Thank you, Superintendent Cybula and members of the school board. We are honored to be here this evening with you to share about our program. So what is the early childhood program? We are an early intervention service for children and families birth through age 5. We are proud Gearing Gators. Our program is located in the north wing of Gearing Elementary, but we provide services for children and families throughout East China schools. Early intervention services fall within 2 categories: early on child and family services and early childhood special education. Early on child and family services are for children birth through age 3, with family education being the primary focus. Early childhood special education services are for children 2.5 through age 5. Child-centered specialized instruction is the primary focus, which is provided through our preschool classrooms and therapy services. Next, I'd like to introduce our early on staff. Betsy Mueller, early childhood special education teacher and preschool coordinator. Annette Coretta, physical therapist. Megan Hargrave, occupational therapist. And Sarah Ranger, speech-language pathologist. Early on child and family services can consist of weekly play groups, parent and child play groups, and individual therapy. Next, I'd like to introduce our early childhood special education staff. Myself, Rachel Radigan, 2s and 3s preschool teacher. 2s and 3s classroom paraprofessionals, Sherry Doss and Denny Furton. 3s and 4s preschool teacher, Nikki Laparle. 3s and 4s classroom paraprofessionals, Carol Canigliaro and Alyssa Quayle. Michelle Davis, 4s and 5s preschool teacher. Classroom paraprofessionals, Audrey Danielson and Jenny Myers. Amy Lawson, preschool program, speech-language pathologist. And Lisa Kane, preschool program, school social worker. Our preschool classrooms are led by certified early childhood special education teachers who have specialized training to meet the varying needs of our youngest learners. Our preschool classrooms are supported by highly skilled, dedicated, and experienced paraprofessionals. Our preschool classrooms are child-centered, warm, nurturing, and developmentally appropriate. Our preschool classrooms follow the Michigan pre-kindergarten curriculum while providing specialized instruction, services, and supports to meet the varied needs of our students. All of our early childhood staff have specialized training. All of our early childhood teachers and therapists have completed 42 hours of START training, which are research-proven strategies for educating young children on the autism spectrum. All of our early childhood teachers, therapists, and classroom paraprofessionals have been trained in crisis prevention and intervention, and select members of our early childhood team are key identified personnel who have received additional crisis training and act as first responders and team leaders in emergency situations. Next, Nikki Laparle will share with you some features of our preschool program.
Thank you, Rachel. Good evening. Our early childhood team, which you were just introduced to, is dedicated to providing the best for our students and families. We've been awarded $8,000 over the last 5 years to provide materials for learning in all areas of development. And tonight I actually saw many of our staff just received grants also, so that total's gone up. Hands-on learning. Research shows us that young children learn best when they're given opportunities to experience their environment through hands-on activities. Throughout our program, our students are given these activities on a regular basis, as you can see. Field trips. Hands-on learning in our program not only happens in the classroom, but also outside within the community. Students in our program have had opportunities to go to gymnastics, where we work not only on gross motor, but also on following directions and waiting our turn. Students have also had opportunities to go visit a farm and an apple orchard, and both of these field trips tied directly into the curriculum instruction that was going on within the classroom and helped to further support that. Dramatic play-based learning. According to the National Association for Education of Young Children, dramatic play is an integral part of a child's social, emotional, and cognitive development. As you can see, here's some of the dramatic play-based learning that we've provided with our students, just some examples. Through that, our children are learning cooperation and collaboration. They're learning about conflict resolution, self-regulation. They're working on reciprocal conversations and interactions, as well as it's also supporting literacy. Instruction in our program is primarily delivered in 3 different formats. One being whole group learning. This is where key ideas, content, and concepts are generally first introduced. That information is then followed up and supported through small group learning. And then staff then checks for understanding and continues to support through individual learning. Class-wide and individual visual supports. Research tells us that young children are primarily not auditory learners. To help support that, we use visuals across our program in a number of different ways. In the first picture, you can see visuals are being used to help illustrate our daily schedule. The middle picture, visuals are being used to help describe a 2 to 3 step routine. And the last picture, visuals are being used to discuss the weekly theme as well as the small group activity. And then across the bottom is an example of our classroom expectations that we help to support our students by using visuals. Okay. Next up, Michelle Davis will talk to you about how once our children are kindergarten age, how we help to support them as they transition out of preschool and into kindergarten.
Thank you, Nikki. Good evening. So the transition process actually begins when a child first attends our early childhood program with a term that we like to call front loading, which means that we like to do as much as we can on the front end of it to prepare them for what is to come. So as Nikki had mentioned and showed you some examples of, the district uses consistent visual pictures. So for example, when a child might enter into Rachel's classroom, they might see a specific picture that represents centers, and they will see that same visual used throughout Nikki's classroom, my classroom, and then even the same thing used in kindergarten. So it's very consistent all the way through, and that's something that we recently implemented in the past recent years. So this provides a sense of security in that the symbols are familiar to the students and that they know what to expect. Our youngest students begin to explore the school by visiting the gym for gross motor time. They also have other therapists that come into the classroom that provide direct instruction to them so that they're also learning to take instruction and direction from another teacher. And as they progress through and they come to my classroom, which I serve the oldest children in the early childhood program, we visit places throughout the building like the gym, the media center, the art room, where I provide instruction to them in a different environment. So our students are being exposed to multiple teachers and multiple classrooms, which is something that they will experience when they go on to kindergarten as well. We also have transition books, and what those are social story books that we create, picturing what a child can expect when they go on to kindergarten into their new school. So those might include pictures and descriptions of staff, different rooms throughout their new school buildings, even the exterior. We try and think of everything that a child may encounter to prepare them for that. And we put these together and provide them to parents so that they can read them over the summer, share those with their student to help ease any anxiety that they may have about going into a new building. Our early childhood special ed staff works collaboratively with the receiving staff and parents. We do this through various ways. We hold meetings with current and receiving staff and parents to help share any information that we have, answer any questions that might arise, and set a plan in place. We also put together student summaries, which provide receiving staff details, highlighting the students' strengths, any anticipated needs that they might have, concerns that we have with them going forward, and any successful strategies that were used that might be carried over. And finally, something that we're very proud of, we provide direct support within the kindergarten classroom, and that is done in the very first week of school when our early childhood staff is directly in the kindergarten classrooms throughout our district, supporting our transitioning students and the staff. We provide a familiar face and a sense of comfort to the students, and honestly to the parents as well. They're very grateful for that. And we are there to observe the effectiveness of our front loading and to provide any subtle prompts when needed to assess what other supports that we can create and utilize to make sure that our students' general education experience is as successful as possible. So the importance of the early intervention. Well, we know that decades of research has indicated to us that children's earliest experiences play a critical role in their brain development. We know that neural circuits, which create the foundation for learning, behavior, and health, are most flexible during the first 5 years of life, and that over time they become more difficult to change. We also know that the brain is strengthened by positive early experiences, especially when they're provided in a stable relationship with caring, responsive adults in a safe and supportive environment. We know that early social and emotional development provide the foundation for which cognitive and language skills develop. High-quality early intervention services can change a child's path of development and improve the outcomes for the children, their families, and their communities. And finally, we know that early intervention is likely to be more effective and less costly when it's provided earlier rather than later in life. So we change neural pathways. What's your superpower? As I leave you with that little chuckle, I'm going to turn it over to Amy Lawson, who's going to tug at your heartstrings with the family involvement.
Hello. One of the most important pieces of our program is our family involvement. Research shows that family involvement, parent involvement, is key to a child's success. We have many opportunities for our parents or our family members to be involved with the very important intervention of these preschoolers with special needs. You will be able to see that in a minute from these testimonials from our parents. Get your tissues out. Okay. This first testimonial is from Morgan Hustick. She's a mother of Bree, who was in our program, and she's now a kindergarten student at Gearing Elementary.
My daughter Bree was born unexpectedly with apron syndrome, and when she was first born, my husband and I had thoughts through my head: what kind of quality of life would she have? Would she ever be able to walk, talk, be able to go to school with the other children her age? And when early on came into our sights, Bree was 2.5. She started in the program, and automatically I saw strides for her. She worked with Miss Amy with speech, and because of what Bree was born with a very high palate in her mouth, she was also born with all of her fingers fused together. So Miss Amy with speech worked on her words and her sentences, and Miss Megan with occupational therapy really worked on developing how Bree could eventually hold a pencil, color with a crayon, use the utensils to eat, such as spoons and forks. I have found throughout the whole entire process with early on that all of the teachers and therapists really came together, really focused on Bree's development, all of the things that they could do to further all of the normal things that a child can do. And I really found that they even went above and beyond to ask questions about her syndrome. Every time she had a surgery, they asked the procedure, what it would entail, what the end result would be, and they really focused on what her special needs would be for as an individual. I see that with this program, they really love what they do. They really love the children. They really want to see every child succeed with their goals in life. And I'm happy to say that this year, Bree started kindergarten at Gearing, and she was able to go to school with the other children that I never thought would be able to happen. And I know that because of early on, she was given the tools to succeed, and she was given the stepping stones to be successful in all of her other years at school. I'm extremely grateful for the early on program and everyone that came together to really help the children.
And if you knew Bree, Bree was a big part of her own success there. She's a great kid. Okay. And the next testimonial is from Miranda Kimmon. She's a mother of Drake, a current student in Miss Michelle's class.
Hi, my name is Miranda. I have a son who, this is his 4th year in the Early On program. We have both loved everything about this program. It has given my son and myself confidence about, I'm gonna cry too.
That's okay.
Confidence, he was accepted and loved for who he was, and we have excellent teachers, parapros, speech therapists. Miss Amy Lawson is awesome. The first 2 years he spent with Miss Rachel, got him into a wonderful routine, and then the second year was with Miss Nikki LaCarl, another awesome teacher. She was fun, loving, just absolutely wonderful. And then this year, he is ending his year with Miss Michelle Davis, and she is also awesome. She is going to get him prepared for kindergarten. He's going to be ready for kindergarten. Had he went to a regular preschool, he would not be ready. He would not be accepted at, I feel like, at a regular preschool. It's just amazing. I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity that was given to my son. Without it, he would not be where he is today. And thank you.
Here's some pictures of Drake and his buddies over the past couple years that he's been there. Now, if you're concerned about your child's development and they are between 0 and 3 years old, you can contact Stacy Thomas, who's the early on coordinator at RISA, and that number is 455-4398. And anybody that's you're concerned about your child that's 2.5 to pre-kindergarten, you can contact Betsy Mueller at 676-1694. This concludes our presentation for today. Are there any questions?
The last slide kind of answered, I think, what I was thinking about. But as far as people finding you, are people, other than having those numbers available, are students recommended to the program, or how does that work?
Yes, we do receive referrals from, let's say, doctor's offices or other preschool teachers. They can provide a referral to us as well. But if parents have questions or concerns, and we always say if you have a concern, if it comes to us and we find nothing, then that's okay. Yep, those two numbers through Betsy Mueller, or Stacy Thomas would be the two.
Thanks.
What an awesome program. Thanks to all of you.
We're very proud of our little program.
You
and
should
our little
be.
people.
And the district should be proud of it to have people like you that are running such a great program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a consent agenda. We'll do the approval of minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting from January 22nd. The approval of the payment of bills, the financial statement, and the schedule of investments. If I could have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. We'll move on to the next item, recognition persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address any questions or comments to the board. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. The presiding officer will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. And I just have the one card. Mrs. Terry Mullane for East China Teacher Highlights.
Good evening, Superintendent Sabula, members of the board. I'm here on behalf of Nancy Mott, who could not be here this evening because there's a lot of fun things going on in the Mott hockey world. So I'm sure there's more to that to come. So I'm going to try and do this justice. I apologize, it is kind of long, but our teachers are doing a lot of great things. So on February 15th, the 5th grade teachers at Eddy, Ms. Bardecki and Ms. Day, along with Suzanne Sabula, conducted the pig heart and lung dissection with 60 5th graders and many parent and family volunteers. It was amazing. Students got to see firsthand the parts of the circulatory and respiratory system. That was happening at Eddy Elementary. Jason Steyer submitted a group of students who are working on the River Rec Teen Zone are now working with an artist and designer by the name of Christopher Ciccone. That's Madonna's brother. Yes, the Madonna. Christopher is part of the Design for a Difference and is helping students design the various spaces for River Rec Teen Zone, which will open this summer. Programs at RRTZ will focus on lifelong learning, health and wellness, self-expression, and community connections. They're currently working on a fundraising campaign through www.patronicity.com with a goal of raising $30,000 by March 23rd. If they reach that goal, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation will double it to $60,000 as part of their Public Spaces Community Places program. The entire Riverview East High School family would like to extend their gratitude to all those who have helped to make this dream a reality. And as of today, they are at $19,030, and they have till March 21st to get to $30,000. As part of March's Reading Month, one of the exciting activities Mrs. Woodhouse first grade class at Palms will be participating in is a Twitter book club. With over 20 other first grade classrooms around the U.S., they will be reading My Father's Dragon, and the students will respond to a question that was posted on Twitter and share their responses with other classes participating using the hashtag 1BC18. The first graders will be making predictions, visualizing, identifying problems and resolutions, as well as character traits. They will interact with other first grade students around the U.S. by responding to their tweets. The students are excited to get started. Gary Griffin would like to share that he has fifth grade science fair projects and independent design demonstrations during the STEAM night, Tuesday, February 27th at Pine River. I have some flyers and posters that I will put in the back that highlight middle school and high school art exhibit, a middle school and high school art exhibit. St. Clair Middle School and Marine City Middle School and High School will have over 50 articles on display, so I'll put the flyers in the back for that. Marine City High School counselors are taking all juniors to a university visit to Eastern Michigan University on February 28th as part of their college and career readiness class. The Riverview East Spanish class has been working on a project this month. We are representing 3 of the countries in the international festival being held at Gearing Elementary on March 1st. Riverview East High School students have a chance to do research, design, and create multiple exhibits designed to educate children about Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Puerto Rico. Some of the highlights of the Guatemalan exhibit include a constructed Tikal temple that you can walk through. I apologize for my Spanish. Dia de los Muertos kites, not sure if that's right, and authentic food. The Puerto Rico group created an informational presentation of Puerto Rico before, during, and after the hurricane. This includes a call to action for what we can do to help. The Costa Rica group was designed by Riverview East High School, but created by Marine City Middle School and Marine City High School students, and it includes a life-size ox cart, 10-foot Costa Rican clown costumes, food sampling, an eruption volcano, and even a live animal exhibit from Repco Wildlife, who is bringing 7 species of reptiles from Costa Rica. All of my students have worked really hard to put this together, and we are now waiting to see how things will turn out on March 1st. That was submitted by Kristen Humble. Amanda Volz will be presenting at the National Financial Literacy Summit, formerly titled NGPF Summit in San Francisco, California on March 16th through 19th. This is a conference for personal finance teachers where she will be presenting on Google Classroom and using case studies in the personal finance classroom. Marine City Middle School and High School choir students will be collaborating with our St. Clair Middle School and St. Clair High School peers and participating in clinic sessions and shared concerts at the PAC. Middle school students have a clinic and concert on March 1st. High school students have their clinic and concert on March 8th. Guest clinicians are MSVMA Betsy Marsh and Oakland University's Dr. Mike Mitchell. That was submitted by Bert Van Dyke. Still going. Terry Williams from Pine River would like to share that last week her 2nd grade class at Pine River Elementary tapped the maple trees on their playground. They have been busy collecting sap twice a day. We have collected approximately 20 gallons so far. We are going to continue to collect for another week. We have a parent who is going to cook it down for us, and they will make pancakes in our room and taste test to see which syrup they like the best, store-bought or homemade. Congratulations to Ryan Quant, Abby Sanchez, and Scout McCullough and Ivy Rose Gardner for their excellent performances in Grand Rapids this past weekend. They represented Marine City choirs at the Michigan Music Conference as participants in State Honors Choir Program. Ryan sang with the TTBB Choir and U of M director Eugene Rogers. Ivy, Abby, and Scout sang with the SSA Choir directed by Kyle Zook from MSU. Thank you for all of your hard work and congratulations on your wonderful performances. Submitted by Bert Van Dyke. Getting closer. Okay. The band directors have planned out a district-wide band festival involving all high school bands and the 7th and 8th grade middle school and high school bands for a band clinic and festival. It is running today and tomorrow at the PAC. They have 3 clinicians, all college-level professors, coming to hear us perform and give feedback on how the kids are playing as well as feedback on our conducting. Our clinicians are Jeremy Doobie from Olive, Wendy Matthews from Wayne State, and Joe Dobos, retired director of bands at Lapeer, former professor at Wayne State, and director for Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp. The public is welcome to hear the groups perform. Submitted by Kathleen Fox from Marine City. And I think this is my last item, but this is the best one, so I saved it for last. 2 of our teachers at St. Clair Middle School, Michelle Barker and Lori Hannon, along with a friend, have written, illustrated, and published the first in a series of children's books called The M's on a Messy Mixed Up Monday. Laura McDonald, a teacher at St. Clair Middle School and a parent of a 2nd grader at Gearing, chose the book to read to Sherry Kemp's and Pam Schneider's 2nd grade classroom as part of their mystery reader program. The students and teachers raved about the story. Students loved the fact that it was written by 2 real friends and that the event actually happened to them. They also enjoyed that it was uniquely told from 2 different perspectives. Teachers loved that it was filled with many teachable literary devices as well as a meaningful life lesson. They plan on sharing this with all of the students at St. Clair Middle School and with other interested teachers in the district for March's Reading Month. You are all invited to hear them present their books in the creative writing and illustrating process on March 27th from 6 to 7 at the St. Clair Art Association in Riverview Plaza in St. Clair. So this is the book.
What's the name of it again?
It's The M's on a Messy Mixed Up Monday, an adventure with the M's. And if you flip it over, that's the other perspective.
Oh, is that neat?
And she also wanted me to throw a plug in here that it's March's Reading Month, and we have invited the board members before to come and read. And this would be an awesome book for you to come and read, so contact Nancy Mott if you're interested in doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Hey,
do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
Terry.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was just trying to get through it all.
You did a great job.
At the Riverview Plaza, March 27th, it was at the end. What time was that?
Oh, boy.
It was at the very end. Was it 6 or 7?
6 to 7. Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay.
I blame Nancy for that. Any other questions?
No. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to reports. The first report, bond sale and bus purchase. Tina?
Good evening. In November 2014, the voters approved a bonding proposal for $2.8 million for the purpose of purchasing school buses in one or more bond series. Series 1, the 2015 school bus, was issued in May of 2015 in the amount of $1.6 million and was intended to, and then Series 1, it was issued for the amount of $1.6 million and was intended to fund approximately 15 buses. The second bond, Series 2, for $1.2 million for the remaining school bus purchases was intended for issuance in 2018 for approximately 10 buses. To date, the district has purchased a total of 15 buses from Series 1 bond. The first 5 buses were purchased in fiscal year 15, with 5 buses also purchased in fiscal year 16 and 17. The 15 buses ranged from 71 passenger to 88 passenger buses, some with equipment storage and a few with air conditioning. The cost of the purchased buses totaled $1.39 million, and it's resulting in a remaining fund balance of $225,000. The bond was passed with the bus replacement plan consisting of 5 buses per year for 5 years for a total of 25 buses. Based on the aggregate bus purchase price today of $92,577, we are estimating a yield of bus purchases to 29 or 30 buses.
Nice.
It is nice. Continuing with the bond process for the Series 2, PFM, who was previously Stoddard and Barch, will continue as our financial bond counsel, and Troon will continue as our bond legal counsel. PFM has recommended a competitive method of sale that requires the board approval tonight. The resolution presented to you is authorizing the issuance of the Series 2 bonds for approximately $1.2 million and other legal matters relating to the bond sale. The bonds are tax exempt, state qualified, which means that we will be using the state credit rating accompanied with the district's credit rating with the efforts of attracting lower bond rates. The bond maturity dates range from 2019 through 2025, and the average millage required to pay for the Series 2 bond is just over 1/10 of a mil. And however, with the existing bond debt that's reducing annually, the aggregate millage rate projected for July 2018 is 2.78 mils. Last year, it was 2.88 mils. And then following tonight's approval from the board, it's the first step in the bond process. And then the district will proceed in obtaining an updated credit rating, competitive bid sale, with delivery of the bonds in June of 2018. In addition to recommending the board to approve the resolution to authorize the issuance of the Series 2 bonds, we request to authorize this year's bus purchase, which has been provided to you in your agenda. We continue to utilize the MSBL Build-A-Bus, the cooperative purchasing program, for this year's bus purchase. We're intending to purchase 5 buses again this year, 71 passenger buses with equipment storage from Capital City in the bid price of $439,170. And these buses will be replacing the 5 buses from their current fleet, 2 2007 models and 3 2008 models. And I do want to point out to you, in your agenda, you were presented with a resolution and several exhibits. Those exhibits will be required for your approval later in the bond sale process, probably at your April board meeting. Is there any questions about the bond process or the buses that we are requesting for you to approve tonight?
I do have a question, Tina. You said that they were going to be delivered in June.
Yes.
Have the other ones been delivered in June? Because I know we talked previously about the warranty. We don't want the warranty to start till actually the buses are delivered. I mean, till they're on the road.
Right. So the bond itself, we will actually receive the proceeds the beginning of June. So we will have them in the bank. We have requested the buses to be delivered on July 1st with an in-service date of September.
Okay. Okay. So July 1st, they're going to be delivered?
Correct.
Okay.
So the 5 buses that we're going to be voting on down the line on the agenda here, those are from this Series 2?
It is from this Series 2. One of the interesting things about a bond is there's an arbitrage requirement that you have to spend 85% of your bond proceeds within the first 3 years. So we will have to maintain our track of purchasing so many buses per year until we meet that 85%. I can anticipate, just by the reduction of our runs in our fleet, that next year we will be looking at 4 buses, probably for the next 2 years, to meet that 85%. And then we can spend our residual from the bond proceeds as we need for the remainder years.
And what do we do with you said we were getting rid of or replacing 5 buses, so what do we do with those buses that we replace?
We send them to auction. We receive $6,000 to $8,000 each year as proceeds, and it goes back into the general fund.
Any more questions?
Good?
Thank you. Next report is Mr. Craig Headley for internet bids.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Per your board packet, I just want to outline as far as my report goes that we did a bid opening for internet service and transport. Transport basically means fiber optic cable that connects all of our buildings together, and that's how we, transfer and connect all our buildings together. Excuse me, currently we have a 2-year contract. Right now it's with the St. Clair County RESA for both of those services. That is up at the end of June. The one thing nice about this particular bid and what we get is a discount from USF, the Universal Service Fund, otherwise known as E-rate. Maybe you've heard of that before. But with that, they require an extensive amount of rules of how we have to bid this out. So this year, they changed a bunch of rules on us. I waited till as late as I could until we could get some clarifications on how we filled out these specific forms that they were requesting. So what you're going to see is I'm going to report on this, and you'll also see an action item tonight, because according to USF, I have to have a contract in place for these services by March 22nd, which is before our next board meeting. So our 2-year contract's up in June, and you can see in your board packet what we asked for this year. Monitoring our internet traffic. 2 years ago, I asked for just one outline. I know some of this might look Greek to some of you. We were asking for 500 megabits per second for internet speed. I literally had to double the request for that speed as we have added more devices in our district. We are up to 1 gigabit per second. We're averaging about 800 megabits per second right now with all our devices online. And then when we go into testing season, online testing season, that number jumps up dramatically. So we put some provisions in this bid to cover that, just so you know. We did have 2 companies bid, and we've been seeing over the years, we've had different companies that submit bids, but they don't quite meet the specifications. You'll see in here, Community Educational Network. This particular company basically took over and assumed all the responsibility of the county's fiber optic network, fiber optic cable network that RESA used to own, and the internet part. So that's why the company name looks a little different. So we analyzed the bids. We put the bid out January 9th, analyzed them after the opening on February 14th, and I'm recommending, as you can see below, this time around, because of the USF changes, we're going to do just a 1-year contract. I normally do 2, but we'll bring it back next year based on probably some more changes. So a 1-year contract is what we're asking for. Any questions?
Yeah, please. Talk to us a little bit more about the testing part. So we're going to have 1 gig capability per second. Is that enough for?
Not for testing.
Okay, so what do we do then?
Yep, so what we do is you ask for, and you'll see in the first line, so on average, we're using almost a gig. Let's say we're just under a gigabyte per second. But in the provision here, it's called a burstable speed. Basically, it's when all of our computers in the district are on for testing and doing M-step testing. We want that burstable speed so that it doesn't rate limit us or lock us into a specific speed. And I asked for 5 gig. I mean, that's 5 times more than what we use on an average. And this company's able to provide that. So that's a good thing. Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Yep, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kirk Grzelka, Facilities Update Report.
I asked Kirk to give this report this evening because in a lot of the strategic planning meetings that were being held, there was questions about exactly what the district holds as far as buildings, as far as property, what acreage. And so tonight, he's giving an overview for us of East China School District and its current building configurations.
Thank you. Good evening.
This is like she said, an overview presentation of the size and scope of the facilities in the East China School District. So we're comprised of 122 square miles with 16 different buildings. That includes 5 elementary schools, 4 secondary schools, the Performing Arts Center, the East China Stadium, and 5 other additional support buildings such as the bus garage and the maintenance and construction building. Our school facilities require large pieces of land. This is an aerial shot of the Marine City campus showing you what the scope of the use of land looks like from an aerial shot. This list, I have rounded off the acreage size for each of the sites where we own property within the district, and it currently totals over 400 acres of land that we take care of. The sports competition and practice fields for football, soccer, and lacrosse, we have approximately 4 competition fields and 6 practice fields. For baseball and softball, we have 7 competition fields and a few additional practice areas. Indoor space, we have a lot of that and used for a variety of uses and functions. These spaces are so large, sometimes you have a hard time getting a grasp of a scope of it until you compare it to like your house, and it's quite a bit of square footage in each space like this, such as the gymnasium. And then on a district-wide scale of how many square foot we take care of, we're just under 1 million square feet of interior space, 970,000. And this is the list of all the schools, when they were built, the years when renovations or remodels took place, and then their total square footage. You can see it's just under 1 million. Main heating boilers. There's usually 2 heating boilers for each school building. One is usually sufficient to keep it running, and the second is a backup system and we alternate between them to keep them both active. This is a list, an actual spreadsheet that I keep for all of the water boilers in the district. Anything over 200,000 BTUs is required to have a state boiler inspection. And so these are all the inspection dates and all the different water boilers in the district. The reason I list these as water boilers is because in addition to heating boilers, there's some domestic water boilers that we have for heating the domestic water. And any of which are over 200,000 BTUs, they have to be inspected also. Our building HVAC control systems. The district currently has three different types of building control systems in place. Train, Bass, and Control Pack are the manufacturers. This particular picture here is of one of the oldest control units that we have in the district. It is a Control Pack unit, and that actually operates on DOS, to give you an idea how old that system is. So whenever we have to make any adjustments, it cannot be done on computer at my desk. I literally have to go to that school, to that unit, and punch through it key by key in DOS mode. So pretty cumbersome and not very efficient. This is a picture of a couple of high horsepower electric motors. I consider anything over 5 horsepower to be a high horsepower electric motor. We have over 250 of these high horsepower electrical motors throughout the district, all the way up to about 20 horsepower, which one of those 20 horsepower motors probably weighs about 600-700 pounds, to give you a scope of how large these electric motors get. Some of the small ones, like the half horsepower and 3/4 horsepower motors, is something that would be used in like your unit ventilators in a classroom. These large motors are used on circulating pumps and big air handlers and things like that. This is a utility infrastructure item. In 2017, this was a replacement of the power service line for the sewage lift station that services the stadium, bathrooms, and concessions. some people are aware of, this actually took place the week before the St. Clair Marine City football game. And so I was in that backhoe working late nights digging those holes so we could get that power line repaired so we could have functioning bathrooms at the football game. Thankfully, we got it done the day before and everything worked out. This is another utility infrastructure item. This was a 2014 Pine River water main line repair. We lost actually 2 days of school because of this repair taking place. The line was roughly about 6 feet down. We were able to repair it and get it back going in about 2 days. I put this slide on there because I wanted to highlight the one and only generator that we have in our school district, backup generator. This services the district-wide server room located at this building. It's the only backup generator that we have currently in the district, but it runs good.
How old is that, Kirk?
How
old is that?
It was here before I got here. Craig would know. I would guess probably about 10 years old. Okay. 8? Okay, something like that. Interior lighting. I went as far as to count a few buildings and put together an estimate, but there's roughly about somewhere between 10 and 20,000 light bulbs in the school district when you count interior and exterior. Currently, the fact that we're running on mostly T8 fluorescent light bulbs, you don't quite get a year or two out of those. So that gives you an idea of how many light bulbs get changed by the custodians district-wide on a yearly basis. This is a walk-in refrigerator and freezers. There are 3 secondary sites that have high-capacity refrigerators and freezers. And those require quite a bit of work to keep them going. There's big condensation coils and compressor units on the roof that conduct the heat, that allow the refrigerant to be pumped down and keep those below the required temperatures. There's constantly repairs being done on the fans and motors, and it's not ordinary. It takes place, everywhere. Even when they're new, you can be working on those the same year that they're installed. They just require a lot of work. This is some kitchen equipment. Very nice kitchen, if I don't say so. Some of these items are steam kettles, ovens, grills, mixers, and I like to talk about some of the vent hoods. People don't normally realize how much it takes to keep just the venting systems up that are stationed above this equipment. There's what they call ANSEL fire protection systems up there. There's sensors up there, exhaust fans up there, filters up there. We have to clean, maintain all these things, do the preventative maintenance on the motors, belts, and cleaning and everything. So there's a lot of work involved with just keeping the kitchen hoods compliant. These are some high volume circulating pumps. There's over 60 large circulating pumps located throughout the district. These service things like circulating the heating water system. They circulate the pool waters at the buildings, the secondary buildings. They can be used for the domestic water, keeping the loops circulated and warm, so you have the warm water, hot water on demand at the point of use. And so there's a lot of these large circulating pumps located throughout the district. Here's a picture of some rooftop heating, ventilating, and air conditioning units. You can see the unit in the front looks kind of old, and I was asked about the size of that. That's roughly about the size of a pickup truck. And you can see in the background there's a newer unit back there. That's one that was replaced a few summers ago at Marine City Middle School that services the cafeteria. There are over the 50 of these large rooftop HVAC units located throughout the district, and hundreds of the smaller ones that service the smaller units like the split units, some of the small air conditioning units you see in offices and things. So there's a lot of HVAC equipment in the district. This is rooftop exhaust fans. There's hundreds of these rooftop exhaust fans. They're primarily used for kitchens and bathrooms throughout the district. District-wide water fixtures. The average home has approximately 8 water fixtures. The school district has more than 1,000. So we work on those quite a bit. This is kind of a cool picture. I took it with an infrared camera of the boiler room right here in this building. It's to kind of get a feel for the amount of steel and copper pipes that are in the district. So there's miles of these steel and copper pipes. They carry domestic drinking water, heating system water, wastewater, storm water, pool water, electrical wires, communication cables, sometimes even compressed air that we use for some of our thermostats in some of the older buildings. So it can be interesting to remove some ceiling tiles now and then and see how many miles of pipes and conduits are hidden up in the ceilings. Lockers, there's over 2,500 lockers throughout the district. Interior and exterior doors. An elementary school has about 100 interior and exterior doors, and there can be as many as 250 in a secondary building. So you add those up, and that's an awful lot of doors to keep track of, take care of. Roofing. The amount of roofing in the district closely mirrors their square footage of the interior space. The only difference is in the few places that we have upper floors. So the total roofing space is well over 750,000 square feet of roofing material. Storm drains, you see these in the parking lots, and sometimes they're in the grass in the fields, different areas. I know where they're all at. There's 150 of them, roughly, a little over 150 of them. We are responsible for cleaning the debris out of them and maintaining them and keeping them in working order. Last year, we reconstructed 4 of them due to failure. The year before, I think I redid about 5 of them. Somebody asked me earlier tonight how many of them I thought were in a state right now that needed repair, and I guess probably around 40. Like this one that you see up here on the slide, it's still right now functioning as far as it's removing the water from the intended area, and it's still safe to drive on, but you can see the cracks around it where it's starting to be undermined because of some erosion underneath. So that one will eventually, in the next couple of years, need to be rebuilt and have some work done on it. Playgrounds. Each elementary school has multiple playground structures. Involved with the playgrounds, one of the items is keeping the chips freshened up every couple of years. There's a requirement of how much deep worth of chips need to be in the different areas that are around the structures themselves, and then how much needs to be in the surrounding areas that are a little bit further away from the structure. So we do a good job to make sure that they stay safe. Cement walkways. We have miles of cement walkways in the district. Parking lot areas. This is an aerial shot of the student parking lot at the Marine City complex. The district parking lot areas total over 500,000 square feet. So, if there's any questions, that's kind of an overview of the size and scope of the items that the school district operations department takes care of.
That was my second trip through that slideshow, so I'll ask first while you guys digest the scope. I'm curious, I want to talk a little bit about the backup generator. Before, when you showed me that presentation, you made a comment, something to the tune of you'd love to have more.
Oh, yes.
See, he's really excited about this. First question is, where do you think they would be useful?
At every school building would be ideal. We roughly have about 15 power loss occurrences in this district each year, in the 4 years that I've been here. There's been a couple times when it took place in the wintertime, and we literally had to rent giant backup generators and emergency install them to keep the schools from freezing. So, you know, if you only gave me a handful of them, the first place that I would put them would be at the largest building, the secondary buildings, and have them be able to run the heating systems, the emergency lighting, the circulating pumps, some of the critical items, just to prevent or mitigate any damage. You know, generators that are large enough to still conduct a school day are kind of unrealistic. But, you know, when you're threatening your facility itself, you know, from freezing, man, they're gold.
Do you remember how much we paid, just off the top of your head, ballpark, to have small ones brought in a crisis?
I do. It was roughly around $5,000 for a couple of days for the 2 generators that I rented.
And how much would it cost to install one? Buy, install, all that, one permanent one, roughly?
I would like to get a quote on that before I would say that price, because lately in the last few years I've learned that estimating is difficult in this environment, so
labor markets are
I
a
would
little tight.
welcome the opportunity to get you a good number on that.
Okay. And with the issues we've had with pools in the district, would having a backup generator mitigate some of those issues where maybe we lose power and things fail?
Absolutely. There's a couple of different ways to mitigate that damage that we were having when there was a power loss at these pools. The first one of those possibilities was implemented during this last insurance claim at the St. Clair High School pool, and that was we changed from an open top surge tank to a closed surge tank that has a vent pipe that comes up above the pool level itself now. So at that particular site, even if we lose power now, and the valves don't close, we still won't empty the pool into the mechanical room, barring any other type of failure of a pipe or something. But the exact failure that took place, there's now measures in place where that wouldn't happen again.
Okay.
There's always room, there's always a possibility for failure, though. I mean, the actual one pipe that comes out of the wall could fail and break at some point. So you can never 100% eliminate it, but that reoccurring problem that we were having with that mechanical room flooding almost every time that we lost power, that's been corrected. But generators would also correct that problem too. Backup generators would.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm curious about capacity. You know, where are we building to building? Is it pretty consistent, or are there some buildings that we're busting out with people and others that have lots of space that's not being used, or is it pretty consistent throughout the district?
That would be a question for Dawn or somebody else. You're talking about student capacity?
Student capacity?
Yeah, are there
Yeah,
classrooms
yeah,
not being used? Are there?
In the elementaries, for the most part, all the classrooms are being used, with a few exceptions. And at the secondary, probably a little bit more capacity, but at the elementaries, for the most part, because they have the room, they use the room. But in the secondaries, I don't even want to venture guess how many rooms are available. But I think there are more rooms available there.
I'd say it's consistent at the secondaries as to capacity, and at the elementary, we've moved some of our programming into the rooms that were open. So they're pretty full.
Any other questions?
So if we were to purchase some of these backup generators, they're not permanently installed, are they? I mean, could we then, if it need be, move them?
Well, there's 2 different types. There is portable ones that that are very similar, or that are like the ones that we rented in that emergency. You could purchase those. The difficulty with those are, I mean, the benefit to having them permanently installed is when you lose power, there's switch gates and stuff that come on where that thing will start up on its own, even if it's on a Saturday night when nobody's there. Whereas the ones, if we purchased a couple of trailer ones, I would have to do some individual electrical work at each site and put what they call pigtail setups there. So that way, in the event that you lost power at one or two buildings, you could take them there, hook them up. But when you do that, it's a process. You have to shut down the existing circuitry to protect it, so you're not backfeeding or whatever, and then you have to babysit it so you know when the power comes back on, you can disconnect it and re-engage everything the way it was supposed to get it back going again normal. So, yeah, well, I don't discount the idea. I mean, I've seen it work in some places where they put a couple of permanent ones at secondary buildings and they have like one or two backup ones for the elementary buildings. So it certainly is used in practice. So it's a good idea in some cases.
I had another question. Going back, I think it was to a boiler that you said was a DOS.
That was the control system for a boiler,
Do we only
yeah.
have one of those?
No, we have lots of those.
Lots of those that are DOS?
Yes.
Okay.
We have Palms, Marine City High School, St. Clair High School, Gearing, Eddy, just to
about
name
all
a
of them?
few.
Is that what you're saying?
No, Pine and Bell don't have them. Marine City Middle doesn't have them. They have Bass, but there's enough of them out there to cause me a headache.
Sounds like one is enough to cause a headache.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kirk.
Thanks, Kirk.
Okay, the last report we have is the peer-to-peer program, St. Clair High School. Mrs. Lisa Higgins, Lisa Kane, and Deb Roshak.
Thank you. We are here tonight to ask for permission to pilot a new course at St. Clair High School. We're very excited about the idea. It's a pretty innovative idea, I think, for our district, and so we thought we should give you a little bit of information about it. So my name's Lisa Higgins, I'm a counselor at St. Clair High School, and we have Lisa Kane, social worker, and Deb Roshak, counselor.
Good evening, everybody. I know we're the last presentation, so since it's past my bedtime, I'll try and keep it short and sweet for you guys. We just wanted to tell you a little bit about the peer-to-peer program that I've been involved with for many years, but Deb's also been involved with for many years. Lisa was just trained on it a few weeks ago. It's called the LINK program, and what it does is it pairs special education children along with at-risk children with general education peers. The whole thought behind the program is to increase both social skills as well as independent skills within that child's school day. Right now at St. Clair High School, we would like to pilot a program to give general education students an elective credit for being a peer-to-peer link for some of our at-risk students as well as our special education students. What we would do is those kids would get training from myself as well as the other two counselors on best practice strategies on how to deal with at-risk students as well as special education students, learn about disabilities such as autism, Down syndrome, cognitive impairments, things like that, how to best work with those types of students. And then basically they're just going to kind of be a friend to them throughout the school day. Help them with certain things, hopefully invite them to after-school events like dances, sporting events. A lot of the kids on my caseload that I see, they get to high school, they've never been to a football game, never been to a basketball game, never been to a dance. And I think how sad for them that they have went through their whole school career and never attended anything like that and did not feel welcome to attend anything like that. So part of the goal is to get them to things like that, get them involved in their community, get them involved in their school day. And we also have learned through research that those kids learn best from their peers. It's been a long time since I was in high school, not super long, but just a little long. And for me to tell a high school student nowadays, well, this is what you need to do, or this is how you do Snapchat or Instagram, or like, I don't know that stuff. So I look to my students to say, can you tell them how to do this? Because I don't know how to do this. I mean, my 4-year-old runs my phone better than I do. So it's best that they learn from their peers. We're also doing this program more informally at St. Clair Middle School as well as at Gearing and Eddy Elementary. As I said, it will be a Michigan Merit Credit granting elective for the general education students. We'll use both same age and cross age peers.
So ideally, we want to pair up our kids with the same age peers, but sometimes that's not always possible. So we may also use cross-age peers, like I may have some high school students come down to my elementary students to help them a little bit, even if it's just playing a game with them, earning time to play basketball or something like that, playing a card game that my kids really like to do. The LINKS program benefits both the general and the special education kids as well as the at-risk students. It is the #1 research-based intervention for students with disabilities. So as a district, if we did nothing else but this program, our students would make huge success. It helps build relationships in the school and the community setting. It focuses on students with disabilities and at-risk students. There's tons of research to support that this improves grades, improves attendance, our office discipline referrals decrease, bullying decreases, social skills are improved across the board, independent skills are improved across the board. Our programming is set up through the START training, which is the statewide autism and resources. It's an initiative supported through St. Clair County RESA, as well as we've received, like I did tonight, some money to get the program up and running a little bit. St. Clair High School will actually be the 3rd high school in the county if this is approved to run this as an elective credit. Students can use this experience for jobs, for resumes, scholarships, things like that. There are also 2 colleges in the state of Michigan that offer free room and board once you are a sophomore, Grand Valley State University as well as Michigan State University. If you want to go to school and become a peer-to-peer support person there, they offer you free room and board. So that's also an option for some of our kids who are looking to go to college to get some more money and to help them with that. In your packets, I provided you with a brochure that talks a little bit more about it, as well as just a 1-page overview of the program. Is there anything on that?
So I'll talk a little bit about the logistics, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have also. The way this would look in a student's school day, for example, maybe a 9th or 10th grader chooses to become a peer or a link. They would attend class with a student with an IEP. They would be expected to, like Lisa said, be a friend, most importantly. Not necessarily an academic support, although those things seem to happen without as much purpose or without as much intention. But the elective credit is Michigan Merit approved through the state of Michigan. It goes along with all the standards set there. This year, for the pilot, we're proposing that we would start with 20 to 25 students and see where it goes from there. Both Lisa and I started the other 2 programs in the county at our previous districts, and I saw an increase from 20 students to 120 within a year. So there was definitely a lot of interest and huge success as well.
So when you say 20 students, 10 special ed students and 10 peers, or 20 peers?
20 peers would support anywhere from 10 to 20 special ed students, because each special ed student could have more than 1 peer during the day.
Deb, could you talk a little bit about the curriculum?
Yes. So Grand Valley State has developed 2 or 3 different options for curriculum. One is based online with different modules. That's been around for years, so they've updated it, and they provide the teacher of this course with full curriculum, actually I think 2 full years of curriculum for the peer-to-peer student. Topics such as sensitivity training, empathy, communication, what else is in the curriculum?
A lot of like best practice strategies that we would use with our students who are at risk or special education students, like how to use visuals, what is a social story, how to make a visual schedule on the fly kind of a thing with just a Post-it note and a pencil.
So the peers then would take this training before they're paired up with the special education student? And how long would they be trained for that?
They'll get a training when they first start, and then I will provide ongoing training throughout the year, because each one of our target students is a little bit different.
Sure.
So we have kind of like case consults where we'll talk about, okay, what's going good, what's not going so good, let's brainstorm together, how can we fix that problem. I do, like when Deb was talking about the sensitivity training, I usually take that a little bit more in depth where I make them actually feel like they're a student with a disability and take them through a school day. Like someone with, example, ADHD. I have a CD I play with all kinds of different noises going on, and then I might put gloves on them and they have to take a spelling test, but then the pencil sharpener goes off and someone gets a drink and then the door is slammed. Like, this is what it might be like if you have ADHD and you're trying to take a spelling test. So I have found that it really helps the kids know what it feels like to go through that every single day.
Right, good.
So are they meeting like that? Is that class their daily meeting? So the special ed student and the general ed student or the peer, they meet together during fourth hour or whatever hour that class is on a daily basis. And during that time, they're doing activities together, but there's some of the trainings going on, and that's all happening within that class period.
That general education peer is helping to support that target student in that general education setting, typically. So like if they're not sure what page they're on or something, that's where your link is going to come in to help you instead of getting in trouble because I didn't know what page we were on, or hopefully your link is sitting beside you saying we're on page whatever, kind of helping you through that process.
And the more formalized training would happen probably once a month.
Once every couple weeks to once a month. Usually I start out a little more frequently at first and then kind of pare it down as the kids become more comfortable with their target students.
And how are you identifying students to participate in this?
Most of our students are certified with an autism impairment, so almost all of those students will get it, as well as some of our cognitively impaired students, any of our students who need more social skills, more independent skills. There's nothing I hate worse than to walk into the lunchroom and see one of those kids sitting by themselves, there's no one to eat lunch with, things like that. So those are kind of the students that are more needy are the ones we usually target at first and then kind of branch out to other kids.
And then as far as the peers, it's just totally elective whether they want to participate or not, and put that into their schedule.
There is a volunteer form or a registration form that you have for them to fill out, correct?
Yes. Okay. And I'm happy to say we've just met with our 9th and 10th graders to talk about scheduling for next year, and we talked about the idea, and we have, I would say, at least 50 students interested in the program for next year. So a tough job for us is going to be, we haven't even met with our current 11th graders yet, so a tough job is going to be to whittle those interested students down to 25.
Yeah.
That'll be.
Wow. Well, that's great.
How, with the target students, how do you involve the parents in the process of selecting them for a peer?
The parents are asked, is this something that you think would benefit your child? Some of the kids, like on my caseload, it may be written into their IEPs. Some of the parents will come to us and say, I just want my child to have more friends. I just wish they could go to a dance one time. So those are the kind of things that I think we as a district listen to and say, hey, I have a program just for you. So that's how typically they're identified.
Now, the general ed student wouldn't be able to do that all 4 years of his or her high school career, would they? So they wouldn't necessarily be paired up with that special ed person or the person that needs this peer-to-peer for 4 years.
Students do have 4 electives.
That's all they have.
Yeah, that's all they have. So you're right. It would be difficult. You know, I'm not sure that we would have a student doing it for 4 years. But you know,
It might be good for the special ed student to be paired up with somebody.
Well, that's what that's what, and I know that they only have 4 credits, so, and I didn't know if it was gonna be open 9 through 12, but obviously it's going to be, since you've already met with the 9th and 10th graders.
So we are opening it up to, where we've talked about the idea with our current 9th and 10th graders, and we plan on doing that with our 11th graders. We are not talking about it with our current 8th graders. Our hope is that next year, as the middle school kind of gets a program going, they'll get an idea of what the Links program is about, and then when they come in as ninth graders in 2 years, we'll be able to offer it as a possibility to them as well.
So in the other districts that do this, do they have students who are in ninth grade as peers? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, very exciting
Thank you.
program.
Very excited about this opportunity, both for both sets of students. It'll be amazing.
That's been, if I could just add, that's been one of the most rewarding parts of seeing this program run, is the impact it has on the general education peer. I never thought you could teach someone empathy, and I've seen it happen now. It's great.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our action items. The first recommended action is per administration's recommendation. The Board of Education will approve the Neola policy changes as presented in the January 22nd, 2018 Board of Education meeting. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay. The next item is per administration recommendation. The Board of Education approves the resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds for the 2018 Series 2 bus bonds and other matters relating thereto. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll move on to the administration's recommendation that the Board of Education approves the bid in the amount of $134,300 with Community Educational Network for internet services and leased lit fiber transport for a period of 1 year commencing July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. The next item is per administration's recommendation. The Board of Education approves the MSBO bid for Build-A-Bus for bus purchases to Capital City for 5 buses in the amount of $439,170.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Per the administration's recommendation, the Board of Education approves the hiring of Jason Steyer for the position of Riverview East High School principal effective February 20th of 2018. Motion is needed.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion?
Just congratulations,
Yes.
and
Awesome.
you had to wait a long time.
You haven't voted yet.
Yeah, right.
Attention upon.
That's true.
Okay.
Well, I hope it all goes.
Did we get the motion?
Yes.
Do we have the motion? Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Congratulations.
Now it's official. So the last action item is the administration's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the administrative services contract with Mrs. Nina Resnick as Director of Administrative Services.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to both of you.
Yes.
Obviously, Jason, you have some big shoes to fill, but I think you can handle it. And look forward to you continuing the great work at Riverview. I think I speak for the board when I say we're all really proud of what you guys do there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Okay, we have the motion for that too as well. So everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Congratulations.
Yep, congratulations. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.